All right, we got Tesla rallying hard to see into the close. I don't know if you saw that, but it was a nice little rally toward the end of the day. We've got some good news with FSD being expanded to Australia. I think you and I getting a little bowled up about V14 too. So we'll talk a bit about that. Bradford, happy Tuesday. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, people are getting mad at me, unfollowing me with how excited I am about V14.
It's funny because it normally goes the other way. Like I think you and I can be contrarian to some extent in that we're like trying to find the truth, and sometimes that leads to us like, criticizing the company a little bit. And normally, when we're a little bearish, we get some pushback. But now
Mhm.
you're like you're very bold up, and I don't know that I've ever seen you get quite this much level of pushback. So maybe we'll start it there. We did a quick spaces on this yesterday, but
Mhm.
let's try to unpack this in a little bit more
Yeah.
detail. Why are you so bold up about the prospects for V14? And let's take it from there.
All right. So our thinking on this has been independently verified. It doesn't mean that it's correct, but Altimeter Capital said that the improvement between version 12 and version 13 was 100x. Um, and one of our
Which by the way, is also what Elon was saying and what Tesla was saying, like back in what was that, September of last year before it
yeah.
shipped.
So I'm not
So
smart. I'm not being smarter than Elon or
yeah,
Tesla here. I'm just
but a little context setting, like this is literally what Tesla said they were going to do.
yeah,
Like this time last year, like two orders of magnitude, which seemed crazy at the time.
yeah,
They went and executed that. You're affirming that. Altimeter Capital is affirming that. And then, so kind of take it from there.
yeah. In my personal experience, it was between 2 and 3 orders of magnitude better. So about like a 300x improvement and how far it can go between safety critical interventions or disengagements where I am preventing an accident by intervening. So I'm not talking about unsafe behavior. I'm talking about preventing an accident. Reigns 1220 on Twitter. He's a Rebellion Air creator. Maybe Jordan, you could put his handle up there. He had a post last year where he talked about how this rate of improvement suggests that they're 2xing every month. So to 10x or to get 1.9 in the March of Nines, it's between 3 and 4 months for Tesla to accomplish. So we're 8 months after there's a Rain's handle on Twitter. Smart guy. We're 8 months after the release of version 13. So potentially there's 100x just right there. We also have a 10xing of the model size that we
The
don't know what
parameters.
that
Yeah.
means as far as dropping nines or dropping bombs on FSD. Um, and then just going off of what Elon's saying about version 14. So what Elon is saying is that it's 2 to 3 times better than human. So let's just assume he's talking about as far as getting into accidents, because I think that's what matters the most.
Yeah.
Uh,
So where's the human baseline? Is that about one every 500,000 miles or
yeah.
so?
So what Elon is saying is between 1 million and 1.5 million miles per disengagement to prevent an accident. So he thinks that that's how often Robotaxi would get in an accident. Um, so that's a substantial improvement to version 13. Now, Elon's also said that version 14 is not going to improve all edge cases, which, you know, one disengagement or one accident per million miles would show that it's not fixing every edge case. It's it's not addressing
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, to be clear, he didn't say like, "Oh, it doesn't work on edge cases" or something like that, which is
Yeah,
the way I think some people were interpreting it. But it was just like, "Hey, it's going to take some work for us to work through some of this," and
yeah, it's not
um,
going to be perfect.
yeah, and it won't be perfect.
One accident every million miles is not perfect. So I don't think people are ready for this. What I'm seeing is a safety critical disengagement every 5,000 miles or so. I have a lot of roundabouts, which I know are not typical for the US, probably less than 0.1% of intersections. There are some people in California and other places where they're going 15, 20,000 miles between like safety critical disengagements, or maybe they've never seen one on version 13. So that would suggest that version 14 is at least like a 50x from what people in California are experiencing as people just driving around FSD version 13.
And so you got a huge amount of pushback on this, and I think a lot of people anecdotally are saying, okay, well, listen, like I got to take over in my car somewhat frequently because it's
Yeah.
going too slow, or I don't want it to be rude, or maybe there's a navigation issue, so I don't want to end up going the wrong direction, which is like totally legitimate. But if you navigate the wrong way, while annoying, that doesn't actually result in any safety issues whatsoever.
Right.
So I think a lot of the engagements people are experiencing on a day-to-day basis are annoying and not safety critical. And it absolutely used to be the case for you, and certainly for me, that every single drive there was a safety critical issue. So like
almost like every second or third drive. Like we have these exits off of the highway that it dumps you right onto a roundabout, and as you're getting off the exit, there's a concrete wall when you're looking to the left. You need to yield to the left in the United States. So you're looking to the left, and but the car was approaching these at like 40 miles an hour. Like so like there were times I had to jam on the brakes just for that, and I think this was version 11, and they mostly fixed that with version 12. But like there were lots of hairy things where it would sit there at a roundabout, it would wait for a number of cars, and then it would decide to go at the perfectly wrong time.
Yeah.
That was a common occurrence for me.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I'm like, I would say traumatized, but that's actually like too strong of a word. But like, there were all these instances where I'd be sitting, just like turn left, like wait, there's a gap coming, it's perfect, and the car would go, like a good 5 seconds before it would have been perfect to go. But that 5 seconds made it like perfectly the wrong time to go. And like slam on the brakes, like I just look like an idiot, like about to turn into this car that's going the other direction at 55 miles an hour. So I mean that used to be a very common occurrence for a lot of us FSD beta testers. Now like that just doesn't happen. There's a couple times I think you and I have had experiences where it tries to pull out at the wrong time, but not at the perfectly wrong time. Where like maybe you have to hit the accelerator a little bit to avoid it being uncomfortable. But so like those are really the only safety critical incidents I would have where it's not like it's trying to kill you, but it definitely wasn't the ideal time to turn. So I've had 2 of those in however many months it's been now since V13 came out.
So one question here. Isn't it applied that the version used in current robotaxis is V14? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So I think it's like a V13 plus where they got rid of a couple issues, one especially around the behavior of the wipers in a downpour. So it forces the wipers to go fast instead of having the wipers go slow and then the car giving up. Like that's one thing they fixed with Austin, but it's not version 14. It's a really good ride. So I did 62 rides in Austin on the Robotaxi when first week it came out. So
taking a step back though, I mean, like what does this actually imply for Tesla? I mean, so if in a matter of, I mean, let's just take Elon's word for it, which, granted Elon time and all that, but I would say in the past year or so, they're actually finally delivering on timelines in a way that has never been true, like ever historically around FSD. So, Elon is basically saying, next month. So let's just say end of September, roughly a month from right now, this goes out. I don't know. It seems to me that like FSD was this like well-kept secret for a while, and honestly, with the way that it used to drive, it was kind of understandable that take rates were so bad, because like
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn it on with my wife in the car because it would just make the driving experience more uncomfortable. So I was interested in it from like a tech nerd perspective and from wanting to understand my investment in Tesla a little bit better. But the
Mhm.
average consumer did not like the experience of FSD. I think that is changing now. I think I shared this a couple of weeks ago. I gave my brother a ride. He didn't even realize that the car was driving itself, until halfway through, like a half-hour drive, and he was just like blown away. He couldn't stop talking about it to everybody he met the next day. And so I think
Yeah.
as we start to get butts on seats, and all the stuff that Tesla's been trying for a while now with giving FSD like a couple of 90 days free of FSD. When you buy a new car or something like that, all these little promotions, given how good the software is now, I think are going to start to bear some fruit. And I think they might actually start to result in vehicle sales from people who wouldn't have considered buying a Tesla previously, because like Tesla is the only car you can buy that's going to do this. So I think it's a really big deal for take rate going up. I think it's a really big deal for vehicle sales actually getting a little bit of a buffer. I think it's
Mhm.
a really big deal because we're starting to expand to new geographies, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But then lastly, and most importantly, it's a big deal because it is another very important milestone in paving the way for Robotaxi to work out economically, meaning the safety monitor gets out of the vehicle if it's meaningfully safer than a human. Maybe they don't do it right away when V14 launches, but presumably if it's safer than a human next month, maybe 2-3 months after that, you can take the safety monitor out. So it just seems like it's a very big deal for a lot of different reasons. And I agree with you. A lot of people in the X community seem to be like sleeping on this. Like, this is a
Yeah.
very big deal, and I'm pretty bold up about it, but that sentiment doesn't seem to be out there too much.
Yeah. It's like, it's not perfect yet. And
Oh, Elon's
it
late.
won't be for a while.
Yeah.
And you're being hypey, Brad, just to get attention. So now it's possible there's some kind of regression. So you might have mentioned that earlier. So one regression we had with version 13 is sometimes it anticipates a light changing from red to green. And it'll do that successfully. So it'll go like a second or two before it turns green. But we had a regression where there's no cars at the intersection. The light is red. The Tesla stopped, and then it suddenly decides to go at a red light. So unsafe behavior, and certainly a regression. So that could happen where you could have some obvious unsafe behavior and you get a regression with version 14. So yeah, I'll give that to someone that, maybe we see some kind of unexpected regressions. I think one regression they had during like all the versions was like, and I think this was like version 10.69 or 11 or whatever, is they train the car on more instances of changing lanes. So it could be really good at changing lanes, but then like all the car wanted to do was change lanes. You remember that, Matt?
Yeah, I do. Look how good I am, Dad. I can change lanes. No, just you don't need to. It's
It's
fine.
like, stop changing
Yeah.
lanes.
I actually had
So
that
like the
this
training
past.
data, like it might have some unexpected
Yeah.
consequences that they're not anticipating. So certainly that could happen.
Yeah, but I mean, this does kind of follow a string of like different kernels that Elon has given us recently. He was talking about this next version having a 3x increase in parameters, and then it was a 4x, like a
Mhm.
month later, and now all of a sudden it's a 10x. So I kind of get the sense that they're seeing such significant improvements with the parameter increase that they're like, all right, well, let's just
Yeah.
like maximize that and get to the end state, which is safer than a human,
Mhm.
faster, even though people might be frustrated that it's been so long while we're on V13 with all these like intermittent minor fixes updates that everyone's like, ooh, software update, and it's always kind of disappointing now because it's always minor updates. But I do think it's not like they haven't been working on anything. Clearly the focus was on Austin and rolling that out. But this parameter increase, I think, is a really big deal.
Yeah, we
And
don't know how much better it's going to make it too. So if you look at these open source language models, um, like a 8 billion parameter language model versus a 70 billion parameter language model, it's not just like 9 times better. So like the accuracy doesn't increase that much, but like the usability and like how good the answers are, it's like it's night and day compared to the smaller model. So I'm excited by it. I think Tesla has fixed a lot. We'll see if there's regressions. I'm optimistic they'll be able to take the safety monitor out. Now, maybe they won't at first in a new area, just to see that everything goes fine. And I'm also curious to see what they do with highways. So I think they want to avoid fatalities, and fatalities are a lot higher on highways. So
I
like,
think so.
yeah,
Yeah, I think they want to avoid fatalities.
yeah. Waymo, I don't know if they've had one or maybe it's been a while, but because they're generally not on highways, they really haven't had any. Maybe they had
Yeah.
one.
It's funny. I've heard their CEO talk about that, and they're like, "We're doing the hardest thing first by doing city streets, which are more complicated and more nuanced." And I was like,
Mhm.
or you're just being super conservative and not wanting your vehicles to go over 50 miles an hour or whatever, which like
Yeah.
is a reasonable strategy, to be honest. But they pitch it. It's just so funny seeing like this debate play out in the public sphere, where a lot of really smart investors like Jason Calacanis was talking about this, where like
Mhm.
Waymo and Tesla FSD are basically like neck and neck with performance, and they're like, we'll just see which one wins. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, all right. I think there really are so many people that just are not ready. They don't realize
And it's a
how
lot of Tesla
scalable Tesla's
bulls,
approach is.
which
Yeah,
surprises me. That's why I'm losing my mind about it.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Australia, New Zealand. I'm not sure this is why the stock's up. I think in general the market was marching higher. Is that right? Toward the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the last. Let me get the chart up here. Starting at like 230 or so, just went on a ride. It was at like 347. Now it's only up like $5, but
Mhm.
still a $5 move in just a couple hours is pretty noticeable on the daily chart. So yeah, Tesla had been kind of middling for a while, and then just a lot of strength into the close, which is always good to see.
So
But yeah, let's talk
yeah,
Australia. So I mean, this is Australia, New Zealand. That alone, not necessarily, going to move the needle in terms of quantity of FSD dollars,
right.
being recognized. But this is, I think, what's important about this is it's following a pattern of just geographic expansion. So I mean, it wasn't too long ago that when we were looking at FSD take rates, it was like U.S. and then like 0% everywhere else.
Mhm.
But now China is that's been out there for a decent amount of time now. We got Australia coming. Case was even talking about some regulatory approvals coming in Europe.
Right.
That whole regulatory regime is like a nightmare to try to figure out exactly
Mhm.
what it all means. And there's so many different governing bodies. It just feels like the bureaucracy is going to kill it there. But regardless, there is some good good news on the European front too. So this is just, I think we've been in this habit for so long, or over the last 4 or 5 years, where FSD take rate has just like kind of gone down,
Yeah.
and it's like, all right, well, we'll just ignore FSD take rate, and then hopefully eventually like Robotaxi and Optimus will result in the share price going up. And like I've got some sympathy for that, but at the same time, when price is so low on FSD and the capability is getting so ridiculously good, I think assuming FSD take rate stays flat is actually like an irresponsibly dumb decision or assumption.
Yeah.
Because if you're delivering a better product at a very low price, and you're expanding to new geographies which never had that product before, like the only reasonable conclusion is that take rate will go up. And because this is pure margin, it can be pretty impactful for the company.
we're starting to see Tesla make some interesting changes where they're forcing FSD to be attached to various vehicles. Um, so SNX, Cybertruck, we'll see what they do next. I wonder if it's a sign of other things to come. They're also going to start mention the subscription when you buy the car, so that people will know you have the option to do the subscription, because
Yeah,
probably people don't know about the options to do the subscription, right?
yeah, and you probably don't want to like click that button or like figure out how to do it after the sale. Like it's a lot
Mhm.
easier just to say, "Oh, I'm buying a new car. Let me just tack on the FSD subscription for $99 a month and do it there," rather than go aftermarket and try to figure out how to do that. Now, like you and I who are nerds, that's like no problem to figure out. But like for your average Tesla purchaser, just having that option right at the point of sale, I think makes a ton of sense. They also changed the purchase screen to actually show some videos. So like before it used to be like this cool graphic where it should like show you what it would do, but it's like a graphic. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, it's not real life. This is like showing you person has their hands in the lap and the car is like waiting to turn left or navigate through some traffic cones,
Mhm.
showing real world examples. And like this is to our point of like almost nobody knowing that FSD is a real product that exists. That's like a great way to just make it very clear right at the point of sale. So I think I'm glad to see them start doing some innovations. I'd love to see them lean harder and start like doing real advertising. But it's nice to see them starting to push this a bit more intentionally.
Yeah. I'm
So
excited for the people in Australia and New Zealand. They've been waiting a very long time. I hope they've had autopilot this whole time, and I think it's cool they get to go from autopilot to essentially version 13. Maybe they'll. I don't think they'll get version 14, but that would be pretty sweet. They got it first.
Another reason I'm getting a bit bowled up, and I think a lot of people are aware of this now, but we've got vehicle wait times going 5 to 6 weeks for the 3 and Y,
Mhm.
at least here in the U.S. Now, a lot of that is tax credit driven, so
Yeah.
not necessarily clear that this is going to be a sustainable trend. But the Model YL in China also has a nice long wait list. So reasons to be very optimistic that demand at least in Q3 is going to be pretty strong. One thing I can't wrap my head around though, and you and I haven't spoken about this, but the S and X also have a 5 to 6 week lead time,
Mhm.
which maybe the only explanation is that they're doing some exports right now and getting those out. But still, it's unusual to see the 5 to 6 week lead time for S and X, which were probably 75% below their available capacity in recent quarters, meaning
Right.
they're doing about 5,000 per quarter and they can do 20 or 25. Um, so, given that and given the fact that they've actually like massively increased prices recently, why are we seeing such long wait times for S and X?
I think it's a great question. I'm wondering if they're working on another model. Maybe it could be the Roadster that shares a line with the S and X, but like a wider wheelbase. Tesla. Maybe it's something where they try to do a higher volume, larger SUV where it's different than the Model X.
Yeah, I just think that's a curious. It seems like something's going on. They said new models. We know there's the lower priced one coming later, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's something else in the works. And when Elon said a couple weeks ago that he saw like the most impressive product demo he's ever seen, a lot of people were thinking Optimus. I honestly thought it was probably Roadster. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's probably
those.
Roadster, and they probably have this insane downforce thing where you can do some crazy stuff with downforce and really glue a car to the track. Uh,
Mhm.
it's pretty crazy. So I'm guessing it's something like of that nature that he saw.
Or up force with the floating or
Mhm.
flying for short periods of time,
Mhm.
like he's been talking about. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can't wait to see that product. It obviously won't really move the needle financially, but as a Halo product and just something that's freaking cool. Like, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
very, very much looking forward to seeing that. All right. Anything else? Oh, yeah. So let's talk power plants a little bit.
Mhm.
Big topic of conversation in the world in general has been like how we can keep up with the demand for electricity.
Mhm.
This Penny 2X posts a lot of great content that America should be building power plants and battery storage. Elon replied, "I have a plan for that." Um, I've got some thoughts, but I'm curious, Bradford, what do you think's going in through Elon's head?
He was talking about, several months ago, he also mentioned terawatt scale as far as an AI data center that's 1,000 times as power hungry as like the largest one today. Um, so he's certainly thinking about how to make it happen. He's also just very bullish on um, synthetic data. He's seen how powerful synthetic data is. Tesla used synthetic data to unlock the gate or the walking on Tesla Optimus, and I think that happened in like they were able to do that in a week or something like that with synthetic data. And this is something Nvidia does well with sim to real.
Mhm.
But Elon wants to kick up that synthetic data and that training by 1,000x.
Which is going to be like crucial for getting Optimus in particular to train on all the different tasks that it has.
Mhm.
I mean, like I think we spoke about this a couple months ago, but I mean, if you're trying to teach it to, I don't know, say make an omelet or something like that, you don't want to have to like show it how to with like real in the world like experience people like showing the point of view of like how to actually like whisk the
Mhm.
eggs and put all the things in there. Like you want to be able to just like synthetically make the omelet and like maybe 5 different types or 50 different types of omelets and like a souffle, like all these different things. And then like that made all those are just within the cooking realm, but then there's like household chores, there's factory chores. There's literally like infinite numbers of things that this could train on. And so you don't want to be constrained by needing real world inputs for every single one of those things. So if you have like a terawatt scale data center, which is insane to think about, but then you can just start attacking that like infinite list with a lot more gusto and start making meaningful progress on it earlier. So yeah, I think it's a big deal.
Maybe you don't have this memorized, but is the Three Gorges Dam in China, is that a terawatt?
No, I don't think it's quite that large. I want to say it's 10 gigawatts, but that might be low. I actually toured it when it was being built in the 90s. I did a river cruise. It was kind of wild seeing all these villages, like ancient villages, and they had all these marks of like when they were going to be like 30 feet underwater or whatever. I don't know. Maybe someone can look it up, see how close I am with 10 gigawatts, but I don't think it's anywhere close to that
Mhm.
to a terawatt. But so coming back to the power question. Um, I mean, Elon has been a massive bull on solar as like the solution for a very long time, and obviously extremely bullish on batteries. A lot of his
Mhm.
posts recently have amplified that worldview. So now he has admittedly, bought this 2 gigawatt combined cycle natural gas plant that he's going to use for XAI in their Colossus uh, data center. So I think
Mhm.
as like a short-term solution, you're still going to need a lot of natural gas, and that's going to be key to the next 5-10 years plus. But I think where Elon's mind is from a first principles basis is just like you need a hell of a lot of solar and you need a hell of a lot of batteries, and if you have both those things, then like you've actually optimized pretty well for an overall solution for the grid. I actually still have down here, the Tesla's Master Plan Part 3, and it's heavily reliant on solar, not
Mhm.
exclusively. And there's some weird things they do, like seasonal storage with hydrogen and that sort of thing, which I would guess ultimately never gets built. But he laid out his thoughts on this a few years ago, and I don't think he's changed his mind. So I'm thinking he's just got massive plans for solar, or at least he's got massive thoughts. I guess the question is, does Tesla start taking a more active role in building out more solar projects?
Mhm.
And on that, part of me wants to say no because like they've got so much else on their plate, but at the same time, like this is becoming the bottleneck for like a more aggressive rollout in AI.
Yeah.
And Elon, like forever, has just rushed to wherever the bottleneck is, and that's where he puts his time, energy, and attention.
Hmm.
So maybe just for that reason alone, because it's like what we have to do. Maybe that's why he might force that, or focus on that now. So what, I
Yeah.
don't know if you had to say, does Tesla do large scale solar and megapack deployments or no?
I think they'd be mega pack focused,
Yeah,
and helping other companies with the engineering around that. So they had
I
to
think
develop new engineering for Colossus with deploying the over 200 megapacks there, and so they'd likely be sharing best. Tesla would be sharing best practices with other data centers potentially. What do you
are
think?
we.
Is that too much secret sauce?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I was talking to a client a couple months ago about the mega packs and like how beneficial they are to data centers for load following and for the just like the power quality capabilities and the grid forming capabilities they have. Um, like mega packs can handle a lot of different types of inputs and get you exactly what you need on the output side. Um, so yeah, I think that's right. I'm just seeing in our private chat, we got an AM. You asked if it was a terawatt. I guess 10 gigawatts. I guess the right answer was 22 and a half gigawatts. So
Okay.
I was definitely closer directionally, but still, I mean, I remember at the time it was like 10% of the country's annual electricity usage. I'm sure
Mm.
now it's way smaller portion, but it's a massive project.
You guessed well, Matt.
I I do know a thing or two about energy, and it probably helps that I actually toured it like, gosh, almost 30 years ago.
All right, let's hit the next one. Expanded Austin. We can briefly touch on that. Now we can touch it and not feel dirty about it.
Yeah, I don't have to. I remember like pulling stuff up on my phone. I was like, I got to make sure that my
The
kids aren't
wife's not
around.
watching.
Yeah, now I still just have to do that because Elon posts pictures of Annie nonstop doing gross poses. But yeah, at least the Tesla app is kid friendly now. Yeah, so obviously this is continuing to expand on the service area. The question in my mind though is when are the vehicles going to expand? So like good to see, but I'd be way more excited about vehicle expansion than geographic expansion.
Yeah, I'm I'm not holding my breath. So I love to see about them using a lot more robotaxis. Be great if they more than quadrupled the space. I feel like that they're covering now. So I would it'd be nice if they like at least quadrupled the fleet. What I've heard is wait times are going up in the space, and people have kind of like taken a break from trying it out because it's just they only have like 12 cars serving that huge area. Unless they
Yeah,
start growing the fleet. Maybe they started growing it today, but we haven't had that confirmed yet. A lot of people are down at Starbase waiting for the next launch.
yeah. Do we have a date on? I know it was scrubbed last night. Do we have the
I
next
haven't
time
heard yet
slot?
on what the new date is.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments if you guys know when the next in-flight test is going to be. So yeah, excited to see what happens if anything on the Elon's focus on energy. It does seem clear to me though that Megapack's going to be a massive winner. Now, like it's going to be a slow rollout. This energy space in general does move slow, and but I think it's the sort of thing that like okay, it feels like a big deal now to be at like a 10 gigawatt per quarter run rate. Very quickly, we'll be ramping that up to 20 gigawatts as Shanghai comes. Whoa, 3 hours. We got to wrap
Okay.
this up.
All right. We'll have to wrap it up early so pre-party can start.
um, so I just think when we fast forward 5 years from now, I think they're going to be at like maybe not quite terawatt hour scale, but I think pretty close. And so that's going to be a pretty meaningful adder to the company's business. Now at that time, I think it'll be probably dwarfed by Robotaxi and Optimus, but still, this is a product that's going to be in very high demand for a very long time.
Yeah.
All right.
Talking about Nvidia's brain, maybe.
Yeah. So,
how much does your brain cost, Matt?
Well, what's the cost to raise a kid these days? Like $250,000 or something like that?
At least.
Probably more than that. Yeah. So Nvidia launched this new humanoid robot brain. I like the beautiful box that it comes in, by the way. I think Dr. Know-it-all had a really good summary of this, where it's basically he's saying they're pushing one of the 3 bot development axes towards commoditization. So, they've got the brain hardware, which is essentially, what Nvidia is coming out with now. But the other 2 would be the body, which Tesla's also working on, and then the brain software, which I would argue is by far the most important and value-added component of it. Like, you need the body to be good, and you need the brain hardware to be good. But like, if you have amazing software, you can at least have it provide some function with like an okay hardware body and hardware brain. But the software is really where all the value, I think, is going to be captured. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I agree with that. But what you do with the brain is important. How much power it takes, and what you get for that power. Nvidia, they have to make their solution a little more generalized, so it may be a little bit overpowered for some of the uses. So Tesla, we know that their FSD computer costs $1,000 or less. So that's a computer that goes in your glove box, and essentially they're using the same computer and the less chips. So there's no like redundant chip that goes in the Optimus. So probably costs even less, whereas the Nvidia solution costs $3,500.
Yeah. So Chris Camillo, who's very active in the robotics space, has been making a lot of comments recently about how like it's going to be very important to figure out wear and tear on all these joints that are going to naturally have a lot of wear and tear if they're working, let's say 8-hour shifts twice a day or something like that. If you don't have some more robust designs than are out there currently, you'll be, wearing through robots in like a year or 2.
Right.
And like, I think that's a fair point. But at the same time, if you have a robot that costs, let's say $25,000, but it's providing $100,000 per year of value because of the work that it's doing, like, sure, it's great if you can get it to last 5 years instead of 1. But still, you got like a payback time of 3 months on your robot purchase there. So like, we're just talking about how amazing are the economics, in terms of optimizing for longevity.
Yeah.
So like, while longevity matters, it's like on the when thinking of like the magnitude of all the different variables, it's like that's a lot lower, I think, than the value add that the brain software provides. And similarly with like the brain hardware, where okay, you want to optimize for limited electricity usage so that you're not draining the battery faster than necessary, and all that. But it's like, okay, assuming you have an inefficient brain, like you've got to charge slightly more frequently than otherwise might be the case. And so that's gonna have I don't know, let's say a 10% decrease in uptime or something like that. Okay, so then if it's $100,000 of value per year, maybe instead you're only getting 90,000 on a product that costs 25. Like, still, it's like the economics are still mind blowing, and like we're trying to optimize around like just how mind blowing it's going to be. So I as much as it is important to get all that right, I am way more focused, I think, as an investor on which companies are best suited to actually deliver the brain software that is going to actually provide that, $100,000 of value per year. And then the rest of that stuff, like, will obviously be optimized over time. Like the early versions are like clearly going to be terrible compared to what's going to be out 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. And I think we should just accept that.
Worst case, you got to replace the forearm and hands more often. Maybe you got to replace the from the knee to the foot more often, but that doesn't mean you have to like throw out the torso and the shoulder joints and the hip
battery pack,
or whatever.
Importantly, like the battery is going to last a long time.
Yeah. So I think you could take a mixed approach. My mom's calling. Hopefully, I'm not in trouble with my mom.
You probably are, knowing your antics.
All right. So, Keys was talking a little bit about Europe. We already mentioned that, but maybe just throw it up on the screen real quick so people can go take a look.
Yeah, so we've got we were talking about how insane the regulations and bureaucracy in general are in Europe. And here we've got this UN regulations starting September 26th, and just like a very complicated table, which we're not going to try to like read through, but like you can see all these different like proposals and like all the different like frameworks that things need to go through in order to be enacted. There's this UN framework that they were looking at, which looks like that's the case here. But like separately, there was this Norwegian framework, which the UN might adopt, and then like completely obviate the need for this entire UN framework. So like this whole thing is just a nightmare to sort through. If you want to follow
They like
the
it
best,
that
and
way.
it's insane. Like all the stereotypes about Europe are very much being validated by just like watching this process and how ham-handed it seems to be. Case actually shared this video. There were some people who were in charge of regulation of like autonomy, like approving autonomy in Europe, who went to I think it was the Bay Area to like try out the Waymos and just like see what they were like. And I don't know if they live streamed it or they recorded it, but like the comments were basically like, oh, it just like felt so unsafe and I wasn't sure what it was doing. And there was nobody behind the wheel to take over if necessary. And it was just like, yeah, and you didn't get in an accident. So it's just like,
they were concerned trolling the whole time. And then they were saying how, they're going to make sure they keep Europeans safe from this unsafe type of vehicle or situation. And it got them to their destination. It did great.
I just don't understand what's going on in Europe with that. It's like I don't know how the culture there got that way. I mean, maybe it's always been that stark between Americans and Europeans, but it feels like we didn't used to be this far apart. Where it just seems so obvious that okay, so many people are dying each year on highways. There's very objective metrics to see how many people are dying. There's very objective metrics to see is this autonomous vehicle safer or not than a human, and so like for them to be fear mongering, like you were saying, about all these like hypotheticals or like the way that it made me feel, as opposed to like what it actually did, which was deliver you safely and cost effectively to your destination. So I'm very frustrated by just seeing that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's clear that these approvals are coming. It's just a matter of when. And if Europe takes longer than China and the rest of the world, then that's very unfortunate for Europeans. But I think Tesla's still going to do extremely well in the other markets.
Yep. Last item, Tesla price increase.
Yeah. So this was an interesting comment. I think you and I were thinking it might be deleted. We weren't sure if Raj had the authority to talk about this, but for those who don't want to read it, Sawyer Merritt was basically talking about how low Model Y inventory was across the entire U.S. Obviously, with the $3,500 or $7,500 tax credit expiring at the end of September, that's fueling some pull forward. And so Raj Jagannathan, I'm going to go out there on a limb and try that, said that we're trending toward a need to expedite output even further, which could mean adjusting price toward upcoming in the coming days. Trying hard not to, we'll see. So we've been in a multi-year period of price decreases and eroding automotive gross margin. Are we finally going to see a price increase? I don't know. What do you think?
We'll see. And I'm curious what kind of, if they introduce a new model next quarter, and if they bring production down of 3 and Y or S and X, if there's a model running on that line too. If they bring that production down, they could potentially raise price on 3 and Y, depending on what kind of disruption there is to the lines for them to add a new affordable model if we still get that. I'm really excited though about the current Model Y that's in the US. Robotaxi runs on it. So like the same Model Y I have drives me to and from work. Tesla's using it as a robotaxi in Austin. I'm really excited about that, and curious to see how soon they get rid of the safety monitor. It could be wild version 14. So I'm excited about it. I think people are not ready for how good version 14 is. I know that's a tough comment for some to take. Some have muted me or unfollowed me or blocked me for such statements. But we'll see. We'll see. Bookmark this. I know you can't bookmark YouTube videos, but if you're on X, you can bookmark this video. Do it. Do it. Bookmark me. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be 100 times better than version 13. We're going to drop 2 nines in the March of Nines, bare minimum. Got the 10 times bigger model. Don't know what the impact of that will be. Excited about it. He's Matt Smith. I'm Bradford Ferguson, and we're with rebellionaire.com. And with that, I'm going to say bye for now.